Yeah, I would say do everything in your power to put yourself out there. Any social setting, and then, so put yourself out there and then be authentic and genuine.
Hi everybody, welcome back to another Workout Wednesday. Thank you for joining us for the first day of October. We are very happy this week to have on a very special guest, a world traveler of our St. Augustine office, Taylor Johnson. Say welcome on. I do want to touch on the world traveling thing because I do feel like every time I'm going on social media for our company, I feel like you're going to a new place.
Yeah, I mean, that has kind of been the mission, is trying to go to as many new places.
Was that something you've always wanted to do, or is it something you discovered later on? Like you did a trip one time, you're like, man, I could actually realize I can visit a lot more places, and this is something I really want to do outside of real estate. Maybe like, did it become a passion, or has it always been a passion? Is my main question.
I think it became a passion pretty early on in my life. Like I traveled to Costa Rica young with my family to like a really small village where we stood out like a sore thumb, and it was really impactful to me. And I think that's kind of what kickstarted like my passion for travel. And then probably in my late teens, I set a goal for myself to do 30 countries by 30 years old. So that's why the last couple years I've been trying to try new places and get myself out there. So I'm at 25 countries and I'm 27. So it's looking good. Yeah. 3 years, 5 countries. No.
Easy.
No problem.
So I do want to back up just a little bit. I want to, because we've worked together in the past over Takeover Tuesdays, so me, you, and Christina have all talked before. But just for people who are watching and haven't met you before, can you share a little bit about your real estate journey? How did you get into it? What was your passion behind coming into this industry?
Yeah, so kind of a cool story. My grandfather and my dad are both realtors. Yeah. So third generation, had a lot of exposure to real estate from a young age, just from watching like my family do personal investments and flips and renovations and rental properties. Yeah. And then in 2008, my dad went full-time, which is ironic because that's when the recession happened and everyone was getting out of the industry. My dad quit his corporate job and went into real estate sales full-time. And, I watched them do it, two of my favorite people. And so I think I always kind of had a calling to it. Yeah. Still went to college, 4-year business degree, and went through that route. But the first thing I did after graduating was get my real estate license. Yeah. And by the end of summer, I was with Berkshire Hathaway, and that was that. Yeah. Like 5 years in now, and never thought about doing anything else. Well, so it's just kind of crazy.
Yeah. See, that's very noble of your dad to get into an industry at like probably, not its lowest point, but one of its lowest points. That's got to take some. I think
it was its lowest point. Yeah. And my dad's such an inspiration of mine, but basically his thinking was he saw how many people were leaving the industry that he figured it was a really good opportunity
definitely
to get into it. So super brave but paid off big time. And it's funny, like we've talked about like his thought process during that time, and there's like so many different characters in real estate, and there's really good ones and really not good ones, and sometimes there's not very good people that are still making a lot of money in this industry. And so he figured if they could be making a lot of money and maybe not doing that great of a job, imagine what you can do as a good person, hard worker, high ethics. So
definitely.
He took the risk.
Absolutely. So on that challenges note, kind of a low point, but early on in your real estate career, what challenges did you face, maybe in terms of lead generation? I feel like that's something that maybe a lot of newer agents start out with. They don't have a gigantic book of business. They don't get grandfathered into something, so they're trying to establish their own business. Was there any kind of challenge for you like that in the beginning, and if so, how did you come over it?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I am not from St. Augustine. Like, I grew up in Minnesota, so lived there until I was 18, came to St. Augustine in 2016 for school, and so I didn't have a sphere of influence, as they call it, as far as having family here and my friends at 22, certainly we're not buying houses. So yes, that was a challenge, that sphere of influence. And I knew, because of like my background in real estate or what I was exposed to, I didn't want to ever pay for leads. Like, it's a great business model for some people, but it's just against my values. And so that was a challenge in the beginning, not having any crutch of family or friends. But, I think that is what kind of has led me to a very sustainable business, not having that sphere of influence and being forced to create those relationships. Absolutely. So how I combated not having that was just doing everything in my power to be in front of people and be real and genuine.
So you had mentioned having a sustainable real estate business. How would you define that sustainable business that you just mentioned, and what makes it different than just simply working on getting a sale, getting it to close, getting a sale, getting it to close? You're trying to build a long-lasting business. How do you define that?
Well, that is what sustainable is to me, is long-term. Like, my entire perspective in real estate from the first day I started, and even though it's easy to get caught up in because we all need money, and this is a commission-only position, so we feel that pressure sometimes. But my mindset was never the next transaction. It was always a lifelong career in this business. So sustainable to me is reliable, trust, and it's the relationship above all else. It's like the people that work with me because they trust me, they know me as a person, not just a realtor in itself. So I knew that every person I wanted to work with, I wanted to work with them again. And that really shapes kind of those everyday transactions or interactions, when you're not just worried about getting the transaction done, but you're focused on how you're going to have, and for me, starting in my early 20s, I mean, literally a potentially 50-year relationship with these people.
Yeah. I mean, so there is no, I guess, ideal client in real estate. You have so many people from so many different walks of life. When you started out, was there a certain niche that you wanted to get into? That's what I hear a lot of people, they find their avenues that maybe they really enjoy, so they venture down those paths. And if you have found that, what has been the most effective way that you have sustained that over some time?
Yeah, so I'm kind of going to disagree with you, because I think there is an ideal client, I think there is an ideal client, and that's kind of how I've built my brand. Like, I don't think I'm going to be everybody's cup of tea, and that's okay with me. I fully accept that, and actually by being your truest, most authentic and genuine self, you end up attracting people with like mind or similar activities and similar lifestyles. Gotcha. And that to me is my ideal client. So my ideal client is someone that's, probably active in the community. They love the outdoors. They're beach people. They're family oriented, they might be investment oriented too, because I have that side as well. So it's like-minded individuals are my ideal clients, and that's also what makes the business sustainable, is we're working together because we like each other, we respect each other, and we have a lot in common.
Very nice. We've kind of already hit on this, but it could be good to just reiterate it. How are you balancing consistency in your lead generation rather than falling into a trap of just like chasing those quick wins around?
Yeah. And that's something I have to keep myself in check about too, because I find that I do such a good job generating leads, and then I get so busy managing the leads that I forget to continue generating the leads. And even right now, I'm coming back to that. You know, I just had a conversation with my dad the other night that I generated all this business that I'm managing, but in the meantime, I need to go back to my roots and continue generating. And for me, generating those leads comes back to the same place of basically just putting myself out there as much as possible in the things that I like. That's going to community pickleball and talking to people on sidelines when I'm not playing and really getting to know them. That's tennis, that's the run club, that's being involved at Flagler College, that's, you know, all of those things is what got me busy in the first place. And those are the things I have to continue managing to keep the leads coming in.
So you had mentioned very quickly those kind of systems or habits that you've built up to help out with generating a pipeline, what are some of those habits that maybe you didn't mention, or some systems that are within your business, so whenever you are busy, and it's always a great thing to be busy, but like you said, it can get to where you're focusing on one side and not the other. Are there systems that you have built to not feel the burnout of real estate?
I could probably get better at the systems, honestly. But as far as like avoiding burnout, I think it kind of just goes along with staying true to my ethics and morals in this business and working with people that align with that. It's really, even though it can be really overwhelming if you have so much business going on, but at the end of the day, I think the biggest thing is the people. And if you are working with people you like, it's really hard to get burnt out. I mean, I agree. It's so simple, but it is the reality, you know, of my situation. So as long as that is always at the forefront, and then of course, you know, sometimes it's just like as simple as turning off my phone for a couple hours, you know, like as a realtor, I mean, people are contacting me at 6 a.m, midnight, you know, text. My phone is a lot of my business, and I don't mind that at all, but sometimes you gotta just tuck the phone away.
Absolutely.
Go to the beach, you know.
Get away from it a little bit.
Yes.
I like that you had mentioned working with people that you like, because it transitions it into this idea of like, I get to do this, and I have something I can look forward to. Because, I mean, that's such a massive thing that you see in real estate a lot. You see people who just get ground to absolute powder, and it can be such a stressful business because, like you said, it is a 24/7, all the time. People are trying to get in contact with you, especially when you're super busy. So I like that you said that a lot.
And I do want to say, too, the reality of the situation is in the beginning, with an all-commission job, you don't get to only work with people you like. You know, in the beginning or during harder times, sometimes you just work with whoever you can work with, and that is the reality of it. But the point is of putting yourself in situations to have the highest odds of attracting like-minded individuals to get you there eventually.
Definitely. So, beyond the transaction, how are you nurturing relationships with past clients to help build up referral and repeat business?
So I think the biggest thing is pick up the damn phone, you know, like texting, and it's kind of taboo coming from me at my age, because it's like such a huge text generation, and I get it. It's easy. You can do it wherever, but pick up the phone, like hear people's tone, talk to them, ask what's going on in their life, make it personal, because this business is personal and it's meant to be personal. So the biggest thing I think is like picking up the phone. When people text me, I don't reply and I call them. I pick up the phone and call them, and I think I take a lot of pictures of properties that I sell, and that's been really helpful. Just like the 1 year memories coming up and whatnot, and being able to reach out, and also, having these relationships be a little more personal, because I know a lot of things about the clients I'm working with. Certain things will just make me think of them, and I have no shame of reaching out because of it. You don't even need a reason, really.
Yeah, you can just say, hey, I was thinking about you. That's it.
Exactly.
So for our final question, what advice would you give to newer agents around lead generation, especially people that might be feeling the pressure of wanting to establish a business and creating a career out of this? Yeah,
I would say do everything in your power to put yourself out there. Any social setting, and then, so put yourself out there, and then be authentic and genuine and confident, and you will attract similar people that will ultimately want to work with you because they trust you and have a lot in common with you. But you do have to put yourself out there, and that's not the easiest thing to do.
Absolutely. Well, I love that. So I just want to say thank you for coming on. I will put all of Taylor's social media as well as her website on the screen, so you guys can go check her out more for her real estate, but you also can keep up on these final five countries that you got left.
Yes.
Okay, awesome. But we will see y'all next week for our next guest on Workout Wednesday. Take care.